Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Wednesday, July 20th, 2022. I guess a day of darkness, kind of, sort of. I mean, you could fire on some WNBA, could do some homework to maybe throw a couple soft lobs, pitching wedges on the 3M golf. Um, or you can sit back, enjoy another day off, and get ready. 6 games tomorrow, I think it is. A couple of games have the starting pitchers up, and there are some odds that we can discuss here. But a day that I was undecided, do we roll, do we not roll? Riley says, yeah, let's roll. So when Riley says let's roll, we roll. So we're going to touch bases wherever we decide to go. The rest of the week, later today at 1 o'clock, Andrew McGinnis will be talking some CFL. Thursday, Scotty Webb back. We'll be doing some breakfast bankroll and closing bell there. On Friday, 11:30 my time, 8:30 West Coast time, Ron from Ace Sports will be on. We're going to break down the ACC. And he sent me over a PowerPoint, some good information that we're going to discuss, break it down, new coaches, young team, returning vets, who were the winners in recruiting, transfers. When you think ACC, of course, you think Clemson. And for me, I think the talk of the ACC this year is Miami. I mean, I know they're not going to be the Canes of old, but they're sure building something special down there. So it'll be interesting to hear what Ron has to say. We'll go over some odds and futures and stuff like that. And then at 2:30, Dan Alexander comes back finally. It's been we had a couple issues back and forth, and we then hit the Premier Lacrosse All-Star break, and now we're back live and ready to roll for the weekend there. So without further ado, let's bring him in from the Windy City himself, the one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Morning, my friend. I am doing pretty damn solid. Happy Wednesday. I was, as far as my prediction of last night's game, I was, not too far off. I think I said 4-3, and Liam Hendricks closes it down in the ninth. He gets one out as far as that is concerned. So I guess I'll close enough, right? Emmanuel Clase gets the save, but if you're a fan of the pitchers in both sides, it was a good night for you. But aside from that, I think it was just the 3 bombs, and that was about the excitement we had. And then I think the buzz of the whole game, if you watch the whole game, a lot of people were really loving the pitchers being mic'd up. Everyone, that's mic'd up is always cool to hear from in any baseball game. But micing up the pitchers was really cool. And I'm sad that I think it was last year, you got Liam Hendricks not realizing that his mic got disconnected, and then he's dropping F-bombs on the mound. So I was hoping we would get some more of those, and maybe he forgot about it and then slipped up. But nonetheless, always a fun night with the All-Star game. The AL keeps it rolling. I don't know how many that is in a row, or how, like 20-4 or something like that. But I don't know what the NL did or puts in the water, but they got to change something up. But nonetheless, I said it the other day. Obviously, one of the quietest days, maybe the quietest day in the sports calendar as far as the 4 major sports that we talk about are concerned. But, one of my favorite days for research and conversation. So I'm happy to go wherever you would like to, my friend. And, as far as, I guess we missed out on the All-Star Game MVPs. But aside from that, not a terrible night last night, huh?
No, and truth be told, the fair in the air locally, it had been a long time. Well before the pandemic. My girls are a lot older now. And when I got home Sunday from Vegas, the wife says, hey, the demolition derby's on Tuesday. You want to go to the fair? And, here I've been on a plane all damn day and night. And I'm like, hell no, Jesus, what are you talking about? So yesterday morning, I took a snapshot of it and I threw it on our group chat. And everyone's like buzzing. And my daughter's girlfriend and husband, her daughter's girlfriend, was her birthday. And I was like, you know what? Why not? So we all load up in the car It's about a 15-minute drive down. Take them in. They got two little kids, the pet and zoo and all that. Then we get some food. We go over to the demolition derby,
Oh yeah.
and it was a great time. It really was. And then so I get back home. I see the score. I was following it on the phone. I'm like, well, there goes my MVP. I know he didn't had nothing to do with it, of course, but and then I see Big Poppy with the mic going into the
Yes.
the dugout, just being the
Yeah.
ham that he is. And
Yeah.
then I was like, you know what? I've seen enough, and that was
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that was yeah. It was not a very eventful one. That one was funny though. He was almost like he was MTV Cribs and catching everybody for a half a second. So that was funny. We need some more of that. Big Poppy around the game is always fun. So and obviously you can attest to that. And even a neutral fan, I was always a massive fan of Big Poppy. Miss him at the All-Star games and all those guys along with them. So yeah, it was a decent night. My guy Tim Anderson I think had a base hit, but aside from that, nothing crazy as far as my boys are concerned. But just happy that no one, hurt themselves as far as that is concerned. We, a White Sox player not hurting themselves in a game this year has been a good day for us. So excited for the second half of the season. Like you said, we've got 6 tomorrow. I think I see 3 with odds as far as tomorrow is concerned already. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but still a couple pitching matchups to be straightened out. But a couple double headers and then a couple more, some good games getting off right away tomorrow. So yeah, I'm ready to rock wherever you want to, my friend.
Let's just go there. The matchups, San Fran and the Dodgers. Obviously, we have no pitching matchups there. Yankees and Houston. Yankees yet to announce their starter. I got Javier for Houston. Detroit and Oakland, Skubal and Logue. Double header there. And the second game, they got their pitchers up. Hill versus Montas. Again, Montas will be showcasing, assuming he will be leaving the building soon there. Yankees second game, Garcia versus Yankees, again, have not put up their starter. And then Texas, Gray, and Miami. Miami has not put up their starter. Let me ask you a question. Going into the second half, what I have noticed in the past is this first weekend, especially the first couple of games, is hard to judge. Not judge, but result-orientated, meaning Poppy was asking a few of these guys, are you going anywhere? And they're like, oh, yeah, we're going anywhere.
Yeah.
They got their private jets warmed up. The guys that didn't make it to the All-Star game, that were able to say, hey, coach, can I get out of here on Sunday? That head down to the Dominican or whatever for a couple of days. Do you personally go in with the same mentality Thursday and Friday? I've noticed some teams that were hot as firecrackers, offensively challenged, some teams that were sluggish, all of a sudden that break wakes them up. Is there anything different that you do coming into this weekend?
Yeah, no, I take it easy for the most part. Like you're saying, as you just don't know, even more so, I think, than the week coming into the All-Star break. You just don't know where these guys' heads are at. Did they get enough rest? Are they going to come out slow and rusty because they were kicking it on the beach for 3 straight days, and now you're dragging them off and back onto the field for the another 80 games? It's kind of a feeling out process for sure, and I think. I kind of have the same way with the NBA where I have a lot of success leading into the All-Star break. And then after the All-Star break, it's a little bit of a different feel. And some of these, I think maybe some of these teams that you could probably fade as far as, teams that are creeping further out of the picture, maybe had some, final last hurrahs going into the All-Star break. And probably aren't super excited to come back after the vacation they took because they know that they're not in it. So I kind of, pump the brakes for the most part, and maybe there's a team or two that I might feel like might not have much motivation that I feel comfortable fading. But for the most part, it's a little bit of a feeling out process, at least for the first weekend. And then maybe after that, if you get a sense of some teams, then maybe it's back to business as usual. But yeah, for the most part, especially tomorrow, I probably won't have too much action going on. And then, maybe Friday the same thing. And then maybe Saturday is, the first day where I really dip my toes in. And then, kind of Monday, Tuesday is really back to business as usual for me.
I'm up on DraftKings right now. I'm going to go first winner, and then I'll break down a few divisions. To win the World Series right now on DraftKings, Dodgers plus 380. Yankees plus 400, Astros plus 500. I saw Mattress Mac put $2 million on Houston a couple days ago to make 10 million there. Mets plus 700, Braves plus 800, Blue Jays plus 1,500, Brewers 1,700, Padres 2,200, Rays 2,800, White Sox 3,000, Phillies 3,500, Red Sox 3,500, Cardinals 4,000, Seattle 5,000. I'll stop right there. Any of those pique your interest?
Yeah. I'd like to say from a homer's perspective, the White Sox have been moving a little bit, and from a value perspective, where they were at the beginning of the season, that's not a terrible swing. But as I've mentioned, my optimism of getting through the Astros and the Yankees there isn't high enough of where I'd like it to be. Their defense is still flawed, and I don't think that's going anywhere. So, I think the Padres would be one if their pitching staff can come together at the right time. Obviously, getting Tatis back at the right time, that one in a perfect world wouldn't be a terrible swing there. The Brewers, I think the Brewers, it is not one that really interests me there. I think if the Blue Jays had anything up their sleeve as far as acquiring a pitcher, that would be the only way I would be interested in the Blue Jays. I don't know that their pitching as it is right now can withstand the Astros or the Yankees for example right there. So there's a couple teams. I mean, there's never I'm never gonna shake a stick at anyone that's interested in the Tampa Bay Rays. At just about every season, they kind of exceed expectation, or the general expectation is that they're not going to do much, and then there they are late October battling for a chance to go all the way. And so I think especially if they make another move, they could be a team that can kind of sneak up on people, as they do seem to do every other year. So I think I mentioned the other day the Cardinals are one team that I think if they make a big move could really elevate themselves from the pack that they're in, and kind of maybe not into that top 5 pack that we see right there, but maybe kind of right on the cusp of it, right at, kind of going up into that 20-1 odds, as opposed to where they are with the 40-1 odds. But it's going to be, Goldschmidt and Arenado have been pretty good. They're going to have to continue being that good, on top of if they make a move. So the Cardinals, from the odds perspective, I'd be interested in them a little bit. The Mariners, obviously, if they make another move, we'll see. I'm not gonna. It's a little, kind of losing value compared to where you could have had them, the Mariners. So I'm going to leave them on the table now. I think they'll probably come back to earth a little bit, but I think they'll make the playoffs, so there might be another chance to jump in on them. But, the Cardinals, as far as maybe the Blue Jays if they make a deal, and the Padres, and then obviously if I'm a homer, I'm talking about the White Sox. But other than that, I just see these Dodgers, Yankees, and Astros at the very least. And obviously if the Mets have everything and come together the way the Braves are playing, those 5 teams are just better than everybody right now. And I really don't know that I see someone else out of the pack coming in and beating. It's going to take beating 2 of those teams if you're not one of those 5 teams, first of all. So, I really think the winner as of right now is going to come out of that top 5 that you talked about: the Dodgers, Yankees, Astros, Mets, and Braves. That's where my eyes are right now.
I agree 100%. The hard part is, go back the last few years to the winners. And I always like to bring up, the Nationals a few years back, in June, they were, below 500. You look at the Braves, I talk about this, and hats off to the GM there. They had no outfield. Outfield, and then in comes Soler, and then they grabbed someone else off the scrap heap, and they came together. And don't forget Noah Cunha last year, and they just rolled.
Right.
And it's hard. It's like our golf on Sunday, Riley, where you look at the top of the board, and there's no way my guy's 6 shots back. There's no way. Right. But if you take the leaders out, and then you start from there, and then you start working from the bottom. So I'm going to play a game with you. Ready?
Yeah.
We're going to play to make the playoffs.
Okay.
Which makes it a little easier. So
sure.
Obviously we're not going to go to the iron here. All right, here's a good one to start. Red Sox, yes, -115, no, -105.
I mean, kind of how we were talking. I'm going to say no. I mean, they play in the toughest division in baseball, and not to mention, I think either, let's say you've got probably two teams at least coming into the wild card spots out of those. I think Tampa and Toronto are going to continue to cruise, and then so it's going to be Red Sox, Orioles, and then probably one or two teams out of the AL Central fighting for the wild card as well. And then if Seattle hangs around, there's going to be another team right there. So I'm going to say no as far as the Red Sox, unless they go crazy and make a big move, which I don't think you and I expect by any means. You're closer to them selling, I think, than you are them buying. So I'm going to say no on that one. And, I saw some buzz on the Orioles as well before we get there. And, we talked about them, I think, yesterday as far as having a really tough schedule and fading a little bit. But I don't think the Red Sox jump over Tampa and Toronto. And then there's probably going to be one other pesky team out of either the AL Central or the AL West that's going to be fighting for that last wild card spot. So I'm going to say no with you.
Tampa's minus 225 for the yes, and the no plus 180.
I'm not taking the no, and I'm not taking the yes, but I am saying they make the playoffs. Yeah. I'd be interested. I'm not saying I don't think they get through the Yankees or Astros, but again, like I was saying, I'd be interested in them to win the AL and maybe at a value play or something like that. I'm not saying they do, but that would be where, if I'm going anywhere at the Rays, that's where I would go.
Talk about steam. The Mariners, yes, minus 175 to the no plus 145.
So that's one of the teams I talked about the other day as far as a lot of these teams that might not, even if they make a trade, probably don't feel like they can win the World Series. So that a lot of these teams in that conversation probably won't do it. The Mariners, I think, just would be so happy if they made the playoffs. So it wouldn't surprise me if they made a move like that just to get them over that hump. So I'm not going to take the pricing on that, but I could see the Mariners being in that conversation. And my prediction, obviously it might sound homer coming out of my mouth, but I think the White Sox win the AL Central, and Minnesota and Cleveland fade just enough to where, maybe the Mariners, Blue Jays and Rays are the three wild card teams out of the AL right there. So that's kind of where my eyes are right now.
Here you go. The Twinkies, yes, minus 105, no, minus 115.
Wow, that pricing is interesting to me. I don't know that'll take it. They've Luis Ariz is a scary person. So is Byron Buxton. They're another team that if they make a trade for a starting pitcher, they want to make the playoffs and also just win a game in the playoffs. So I don't know if that's where their heart is lying or not, but that's a team. If they make a trade for a pitcher, that is, I think even getting Frankie Montas would be their best starter on their staff. So if they do that, then maybe my thoughts would change, and maybe they'd be a team that could make a run at the playoffs. But if not, I'm going to say no.
Orioles plus 1,500. Yes, no, minus 5,000.
If they played in a different division, my interest would be piqued a little bit. But we talked about it yesterday. I think they have, if not the toughest schedule left in baseball, which I think it is number one, it's one of the top three. And I looked at it again. Not only do they have so many games against these teams in the AL East, they've also got a couple series with the Astros, my White Sox. They've got a lot more tough series than they do easy series. So I think it's going to go downhill from here. I mean, I was looking at it. Their over-under still, I think, is at 75.5, minus 110 both ways. So if that doesn't tell you what, the books expect from them the rest of the way, I don't know what does. And if they do, I wouldn't bet on them to finish over 500. I hope I'm wrong and it's continues to be a fun story. But I'm betting on regression from them for sure here.
You might like this next one. At least it's music to your ears. Your White Sox minus 140, yes, plus 115, no.
I took a little action on them to win the division at plus money a few days ago. So that's where my heart is lying as far as they still have one of the easier schedules in baseball. So it's obviously they're going to have to do, if they do it, they're going to have to do it against their division, which they, obviously started to against the Twins a little bit there. So I'm going to say yes, I got them to win the division. So I'm taking them at that plus money. I wouldn't take them. Yeah, if I'm doing anything the White Sox, I would say take them at plus money if you can still get them to win the division.
Here's a surprise to me. Phillies, yes, minus 115, no, minus 105.
You get the feeling that they're going to be aggressive at the trade deadline, and maybe that's why those odds are like that, because that's kind of where I'm at as well. And I think, when you factor in the way the Giants finished the first half, I don't know that they're going to I think they're still going to be, in that wild card conversation, the San Francisco Giants I'm talking about. But I think the Phillies, especially if they make a move, will be a better team than them. And then I also put them over, whoever is second place in the NL Central, I would put the Phillies over whoever that ends up being, whether it's the Brewers or the Cardinals. So I'm with you. I think they end up getting maybe that second wild card spot and have not as much to worry about. So I'm going to go yes for the Phillies.
Brewers are minus 390 to the yes, plus 290 to the no. So that's kind of a statement.
It is kind of a statement, and it kind of goes against what I've been saying, and maybe I only take no if I'm looking at a value because I think it's more likely than that they miss. But obviously, you're right. That is a statement. I think the Cardinals end up winning that division, but maybe the Brewers make a deal. Maybe they're looking. Excuse me, to add another bat to give them some more firepower. And obviously, if their pitching rotation, is healthy at the right time, then they can be a scary team for sure. And I guess that's why you would see the odds. But I got the Brewer or the Cardinals taking over that division. But in accordance with what I said about the Giants, I think it's still a better than not chance that the Brewers hang on for the playoffs there if they don't win the division there.
Last year's darlings, the Giants, plus 135 to the yes, minus 165 to the no.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no. Carlos Rodon is one where a lot of White Sox Twitter is salty that he's pitching as well as he is, and it's not for our team. But it's exactly what he did last season, and come September he really broke down, and he hasn't had a full healthy season in his entire career. So, I hope he stays healthy, but I'm not betting on him to stay healthy, and that's been one guy that's been pacing their starting rotation, and their offense is just aging, and I kind of see it maybe continuing to some degree. I think they'll have spurts where they look really solid still, but I'm going to say no. I think they, managed to finish above 500, maybe 85 wins or so, but I'm going to say no. I think they skip out in the playoffs this year.
So just to break down your division, you're basically the favorite right now, according to DraftKings. White Sox minus 140 to the yes. The Twinkies were, let me back up here, with minus 105 to the yes. And then you can get the Guardians at plus 220 to the yes.
Interesting. If I don't know that Cleveland manages to get there. That's really interesting. The division odds: Twins are plus 110, White Sox are plus 125 for the division, and yet the White Sox have better odds to make the playoffs than the Twins do. So that's really interesting right there. But if I'm taking any action on Cleveland, I mean, I might even take a swing at them plus 450 to win the division. I think they're still only a couple or 3 games out. So not saying that happens. I obviously, like I said, I think the White Sox have a much better second half than they do first half. Maybe get to 88 wins and win this division. And unless the Twins make a move for a starting pitcher, I think they, their offense isn't going to be able to pace them for, all however many games are left. So I think it's going to be White Sox, Twins, and then Cleveland finishing this one out. And I think the Twins and Cleveland are on the outside looking into the playoffs.
National League MVP. Goldie plus 100, Manny plus 550, Alonso plus 700, Mookie plus 1100, Austin Riley, who is heating up, plus 1400, Freddie Freeman 1400, Trey Turner 1700, Schwarber plus 2500. Then you got Arenado 3000, Acuna plus 5,000, Soto 5,500. Any of those numbers jump out at you?
I think this is another one where you have to take the top off, right? As far as, if Goldie continues to do what he's doing in the Cardinals, if they win the division, then, it should be his. But, it's not like he's already at this runaway spot, in my opinion. So, it almost is worth taking if I wouldn't bet on it, but if Kyle Schwarber, is hitting as many home runs as he continues to hit and stays healthy, because that's probably, that's been one of the issues why he hasn't been able to continue at that in any season. Maybe that's an interesting one if they can make the playoffs and he's got 50 bombs or something like that. But aside from that, I mean, Arenado obviously is a tough one if he's not the MVP of his team. Then that can be a tough one. Juan Soto, if he were to be traded to a contender and turn them around, I guess is a weird. Interesting one where, if he goes to, any random team and improves their status, then, on top of the stats he has, that's an interesting case to make there. But, it's an interesting one. These NL MVP races, haven't had any eye-popping, like, no doubt winners really over the last few years. So, you almost have to, take a swing at one of these random guys, whether it's Trey Turner or even Freddie Freeman out of the Dodgers, if the Dodgers are far and away the best record in the NL. So I don't have strong thoughts on it, but I guess, I like Goldie. I hope he, ends up getting the win. But, I would be willing to bet that someone else is going to steal it from him, in my opinion here.
See if I can find one more here. Regular.
Are you going Ohtani for AL MVP, no doubt, or is Judge still got a chance, or is it those two guys or nobody?
Well, my guy that I
you got Alvarez. Sorry, I forgot
Alvarez, who hits the IL right before the break, and then Ohtani, just puts together, 13 strikeouts, for the win, and then hits like 3 bombs and is batting. And the sad part is that we weren't around for Babe Ruth. You can read all you want. Our buddy, our friend, Mr. Lucky's always putting up some great content for us and tagging us on that stuff. We are watching a live Babe Ruth, and I don't think he gets enough credit. I really don't.
No, I mean, especially what he's doing on the mound. I mean, especially over the last month, it's been absurd. And, they had the hilarious moment last night of getting picked off in the first inning. That was just an awesome moment. And it's awesome that he seems like an awesome dude, too. So, it's a shame that this Angels team can't figure out a way with 2 of the greatest players of my generation on their team. Can't figure out how to make the damn playoffs. Both of them deserve it. I mean, if anybody deserves it, it's Trout. But now, obviously, Shohei is gonna, deserves it as far as what he's doing. So, not happening this season. But hopefully we can get some playoff action out of these guys. Because I'm not saying it's going to waste. Because obviously we're appreciating these guys. But the notoriety of these guys isn't as high as it should be for how great they are, in my opinion.
I'm just going to say this. I don't root this upon anyone. I believe in karma. With the Yankees light years ahead, even the slightest tweak, Judge, if you look at his resume, has had issues. I'm not calling him injury prone. He's just so big and so massive that, you bend down to pick up the bat and you can tweak something. And awards are great, don't get me wrong, but obviously, American League champs and World Series champs go a lot further than an MVP award. So, and the fact that, Alvarez missed a couple weeks, he is just the DH. I just think as we progress here, Shohei's just going to grab a lot more momentum.
Yeah, I think so too. And it kind of reminds me of last year where you had Shohei at a point where it's like, how do you not give this guy the award? But you had Vlad Jr., firing on all cylinders the second half and really challenged him. So I don't know if, maybe there's another guy that ends up challenging him for the award, but at the end of the day, how do you not give it to Shohei? But maybe one of these guys on some of these teams that are contenders in the AL, if they have an awesome second half, can, at least get into the conversation, but maybe like Vlad again or somebody on my White Sox. But it's going to be tough to not give it to Shohei if he stays healthy all season long.
I'm going to just transition to golf for a minute because I have to get this off my chest here. In the one and dones, I'm sorry. I think there's 4,400 teams, and I was just floating at the bottom forever. Got a couple top 5s, top 10s, and then I cashed the JT to get up to 1,200, and then grabbed the Fleetwood 2 weeks ago, moved up to like 900, and then popped Cam Smith and got to 389 and actually cashing right now. And the reason I'm bringing up the 3M, I know usually, especially for me as well, the week before and the week after, I don't put out full page articles on, first round leaders, outrights, yada, yada, yada. Because the mentality is, get lathered up the week before and then I'm there, but I'm not there. If I have 2 bad rounds, so be it. I'm just getting ready for the next week. Well, looking at the odds, doing all my research, checking the 2 algorithms and spreadsheets, there's a guy that's sticking out like a sore thumb, and I already used them in my one and done, and I just scared shitless this guy's going to win, and I just wanted your thoughts. He's currently plus 1,800 on DraftKings, Mr. Davis Riley.
Interesting. Yeah, no, it's. I think it's. I mean, it's a winnable tournament for sure, especially if you're not someone that was, really in the conversation these last 2 weekends. This is one that maybe you put on your calendar as a tournament where, hey, all these other guys either aren't here or maybe they've exhausted themselves to where I can really put something together. And so, the guys that are the bigger names, it's like, okay, do I want to wait until Saturday to see if they are here and now realize that they have a chance at winning this thing, and then they, you can feel comfortable betting them? Because I mean, the guys that are at the top, Finau, Sungjae, Hideki, that's the case. I don't want to touch those guys until if I see them on Saturday, then maybe if I can find a matchup or something, I might be interested in. Maybe they realize they can get there. But yeah, Davis, Riley, Tringale, right there, Hadwin. Some of those guys that really weren't in the conversation the last couple of weeks. This could be one that they've circled as a winnable event for them. So I'm totally with you on that one. Decent top 10 odds as well for him. 250, not terrible. Typically like at least 300 or so. But I think that's a solid one for sure.
I think the public trendy dog will be Maverick McNeely. As you talked about Tringale, Thigala's been playing real well. The Cameron Davises of the world and stuff. But I just had to get this off my chest because I am going to be livid. Because if I can sneak in another win, I can get right into the top 100 easily with a handful of weeks left. And my one and done this week is Maverick McNeely. I'm hoping and praying. He used to be my DraftKings killer, where I would have him every which way but loose. He'd come out guns a-blazing, -5, and in his last 3 rounds, he was +20, nowhere to be found. Then the weeks you don't have him, he goes box to wire, and he's top 5, top 10.
Right. No, I told you I had. I guess he didn't end up having that great of a tournament. Shane Lowry's been that guy for me over the last couple of years. That when I'm all over him, he's not anywhere near the top, and then when I'm off of him, he's top 10 every single week. So, it's going to be interesting. Tony Finau is everyone's favorite. As of all the guys that are in the field, he's one of everyone's favorites. But at 11-1 for a guy that is almost allergic to winning tournaments, even in these types of fields. I don't know how you can. All love to him. I hope he gets there, but I'm not taking anything past top 5. If the guy is there, he's there. But it's not like he's been playing fantastic either. So I was pretty surprised to see him up there. But maybe if he's had this one circled, maybe he's gonna have a nice tournament. But I'm definitely gonna be waiting out that one for his concern, and hope I'll root him out as a fan as far as Finau's concerned.
All right, we're going to close out with a little fun here for you here. You already talked yesterday, Northwestern and Nebraska. I'm going to go over to team futures here for you. We're going to just do a little game here. I'm going to give you some Big Ten. Actually, hold on. Regular season wins here.
Yes, please.
All righty.
You might have to help me if I'd be curious. Illinois and Northwestern. I usually go elsewhere to find their odds, but Illinois is still a state where Illinois residents can't bet legally on Illinois or Northwestern or any Illinois colleges. So I usually have to go elsewhere. So I'm curious what you see for both of those schools as far as some of these odds are concerned.
All right, Northwestern under -120, over 4 plus 100.
You heard me yesterday. Over 4 plus. I would say that again. You cut out a little. Over 4 is what?
Plus 100.
Plus 100. Okay, yeah, I'm all over it. Absolutely taking that one. They've got to start it off. If you didn't hear me yesterday, I'll give them the cover against Nebraska. I'll pump the brakes on them winning that game. It is actually, I was mistaken. It's actually in Ireland, that game. They play that one in Dublin, Ireland to kick off the season. So that's an interesting one. But after that, the following week, they play Duke, who is in conversation for the worst FBS team in college football. Or Power 5 team, I should say. They should absolutely beat the pants off of them. And then they get FCS Southern Illinois and then MAC Miami, Ohio, who are two solid teams for their regions or their conferences for sure. I'm going to give them 3 wins out of those non-conference games. And then you just need 1 for the push in the Big Ten play and 2 for the win. And when you factor in, you've got Illinois at the end of the season at Northwestern. I'm going to give Northwestern the win at that. Even if I think Illinois is, going to be a scrappy team, they had a lot of turnover. Brett Bielema year 2. I'm excited even as an Illinois fan. I'm excited for the culture change that's coming, but it's still going to be a lot of growing pains this year. I think they'll be more just scrappy than talented, and I think Notre Dame will just be a better team, and I think they'll get that win. So that's 4 right there for me. And then out of the other games in the Big Ten, a lot of these games are tough, but and a lot of these teams are really flawed. So I think Northwestern's going to surprise one of these teams. Maybe not Penn State or Wisconsin necessarily, but like I said yesterday, the Nebraska Northwestern game at 11. These teams come in and they're not ready for Northwestern. Obviously, week 0 isn't the case with Nebraska, but there's going to be a few cases where you show up groggy-eyed to Northwestern at 11 a.m. here at local time, and they beat the pants off it, and you're just not ready for it. So, not the Ohio State game. That's one that's at home, but I give them at least one upset. I give them the win against Illinois, and then at least one more upset against one of these Big Ten teams. So I think they get to 5 wins here. So even if you're seeing, I love the cushion of if a flat push with plus odds there, but even if it's 4.5, I think they get to 5 for sure as far as Northwestern's concerned. If you didn't hear me yesterday, Pat Fitzgerald has only had one consecutive losing season throughout his tenure. Was terrible last year, but he's done it before, where it was a miserable season and then turned it around completely. So I'll be closer to a middling team for sure, but I'll at least give him the over 4 for sure in this one.
Nebraska 7.5, over -110 and under -110.
I'm going to stay away from it, but, we talked about it yesterday. They've got they don't have Ohio State on their schedule. If they get the win against Northwestern, they're in good shape. They've got 2, definitely should win games out of their non-conference schedule, North Dakota, Georgia State. So you can give them 3 wins right there. Indiana, Rutgers, they should smoke through those 2 teams. So that's, 5 wins right there. And then, it gets tough after that. The back half of their schedule is probably going to be really tough. They also got Illinois. So that's almost 6 wins right there. And then when it becomes a conversation of Purdue, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Iowa, they could win they could win all of those games. They could lose all of those games. So I'm going to stay away from Nebraska. I think they're going to be right at teetering 7 and 8 wins, whether it's 7 and 5 or 8 and 4. I'm not sure, but I'm going to stay away from it. I'm not betting on the under, but I'm going to say I think they get to 7 and 5, and maybe they lose a couple of games where they shouldn't. Maybe they win a couple games where they might be underdogs. But I think it's going to be so many close games for them this upcoming year, and so I'm going to stay away from them. But I'll say 7 and 5, and generously, I guess they can get to 8 and 4. I would not hate you if you went over. I wouldn't hate you if you bet under in this one.
Illinois over 4.5, -125, under 4.5. plus 105.
Yeah, this one I mentioned. I think Northwestern gets them at the end of the season, but like I said, I think it's going to be a scrappy Illinois bunch, and they're going to have a lot of, I think, games won in the trenches. Not a ton of talent, but with Brett Bielema as their coach, they should be well coached in those areas, and just a different identity than they had in previous coaching regimes. And so you almost the game against Virginia is going to be a huge one, but you almost have to give them. They could start the season 4-0, Jeff, as far as Wyoming, Indiana, Virginia, and Chattanooga. And then at that point, when they get to the Big Ten schedule, it becomes a really, really big test and a big tough swing. And almost that Northwestern game at the end of the season, for both, that could be the winner of that game cashes the over. It actually might be what I predict here. So I'm going to stay away from Illinois, not taking the under. But I could definitely see them finishing 4 and 8 out of this one and having a really tough Big Ten schedule and not really being able to beat any of these teams here in the Big Ten. I think they avoid Ohio State, and I guess Indiana, I would say, is their Week 2 opponent or Week 1 opponent, whatever you want to call it, and that's where I would give them their one Big Ten win. But I'm going to say 4 and 8, and they start off 4 and 0 and then lose 8 straight is where my head is at. I don't know. That seems aggressive, and maybe they get one upset win somewhere down the line, but I'll say it's going to be a growing pain year and maybe some scrappiness, but not really much talent over there this year.
I just have to throw this out. UConn under over 2 and a hook, over -140. Mr. Jim Mora in the building. I think it was my daughter's Caitlin's freshman year. We went up there and we went up to, it was in Hartford. That's where they play their home games for football. They played Memphis, and I am not lying. The Memphis could have put up 100. I think they put up the game itself was like over 80. They might have put up 60. I mean, it was just like watching men versus team. Flag football.
Right. Some of those games can be rough. I've been to a few of them. My older brother used to go to Illinois, and it was kind of throughout his time, and they had the one year where they went to the Rose Bowl, so there was a couple games where Illinois was doing that to teams, and then earlier on, his first couple of years, they were one of the like a 1-2 win regular season win total, and it was the opposite. So yeah, I've been to a handful of those games. Used to go to a lot of Northern Illinois games as far as where I was as well. So yeah, those games can be fun if you're a little kid and it's your team that you're rooting for putting up 60. You've never seen it before in your life, but yeah, when you get past about 15, 16, you realize what the hell's going on, and it becomes a little less fun as you get older there.
And I'm telling you, it was like week 3, week 4, and my daughter's just getting adjusted to it. I turned over there, at halftime. I'm like, if you're real tired, no, I'm okay, Dad.
Yeah.
At the end of 3, I turned around and her head's back there. She gets it. It's like, but that's the only game I've been to. I'm going to have to get up there this year and just check one of them out. Again, not high expectations. It was almost like when they brought in Coach Hurley, the expectations, but it takes so many years to build and rebuild and bring your guys in.
Right, and sometimes it takes a 3-9 year where it's ugly, but at least the guys are really excited to be playing for the team and play together. It honestly takes a couple of years usually to even just get a team that you have some chemistry with, as far as guys that actually want to be there. And in a lot of those situations, it takes 2 years to dig out of that type of hole where you kind of just have some assholes in your program that you need to weed out and replace them with your whatever that coach's guys are. So over under 2.5. What's your prediction?
I hate when they got them juiced. Here's what I would suggest to everyone is I'd go to the alternate line. I'd get it over to 3.5, and I'd take the plus money. That's what I would take the swing that they get to 4 this year.
Fair enough.
Michigan 9.5, juiced over -125, under +105. So I guess the magic number. The question is, do they get to 10 or not?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm laughing. Michigan plays UConn at the Big House the first few weeks of the season, so that might be a big old shellac in there at the Big House. But they obviously Ohio State at the end of the season. Like I said yesterday, I'm giving Ohio State the win there. You said it's 9.5, right? 9.5 for Michigan. Okay, and so you only get one game if you're penciling in a loss to Ohio State. You only have one more loss that you can stomach to get to 10 wins, and it's definitely possible. I lean towards them being a 9-3 team, and maybe a team like Michigan State comes in maybe a little improved defense and has maybe a revenge game there. That's a second loss, and then whether it's between Nebraska, Penn State, Iowa, I think one of those teams knocks them off, and they could absolutely go 10-2. I'm leaning towards 9-3, and I'll give them a loss to Michigan State, Ohio State, and then maybe a random slip up elsewhere. They do have the luxury of playing Penn State and Michigan State both at home, though, so that really helps them a lot there. If they were going to both of those schools, that might be an easy. I might even take that 9.5 under. I'll stay away from it, but I'll predict 9-3 for them.
See if they have any more for you. Wisconsin 8.5, over -145. Under +125. I guess the question to you, sir, is do they get to 9?
Do they get to 9? They play my my alma mater, Illinois State Redbirds, week 1. So I'm hoping my Birds can play spoiler in week 1 as far as Camp Randall there. But no, I don't know. It's they've got Ohio State on their schedule. I'll give them a loss there. They lost a little bit on their secondary that was really, really good. I think they should have still a really good defense, but like I said, there's a lot of turnover on that defense that was really good last year. So I think that's going to hurt them a little bit. Like I said, I'll give them a lot. Unlike Michigan, they do go to Michigan State. They do go to Iowa. So they've got a tough road schedule here in the Big Ten where, some of these games, they've got Illinois at home, Northwestern at home, Purdue. Purdue should be scrappy, but they've got them at home. Same thing with Maryland. So do they get to 9? I think they go 9-3 as far as that would be my prediction here, 9-3. I'll give them a loss to Ohio State and maybe Michigan State, and then maybe Iowa at Iowa is the other team that gets them, and they run through this non-conference schedule here and most of their must-win games here in the Big Ten. But I'll give them a couple of 2 or 3 road losses here at the Big Ten this year.
Ohio State over 10.5 minus the 240, under 10.5 plus 195. You know, Ohio State, you're going to hear all year. I think pound for pound, the best offense in the country. They're saying their defense is going to be a lot better. I've heard that a million times. But usually, what happens to this team, and we know this, they get upset somewhere, and then they got a sheet, and then they got to win the Big Ten conference championship game to get to the Final Four. Looking at that schedule there, do you see two losses? I mean, I don't. I I don't.
I don't, and especially like I said, if you're giving them a revenge win over Michigan, especially Notre Dame to open up the season, they're 14.5 favorites over Notre Dame at home to start the season, and I'd give them that win right there as well. Notre Dame should be good, but yeah, I think Ohio State runs this damn table. You have the tough environments. They only the real toughest environment they go to in the Big Ten is Penn State, who I think should be a scrappy team, but it just doesn't match up with this Ohio State team. That would be the only like real tough environment they go to, and I guess Michigan State would be the other one. But I think even with an improved Michigan State defense, this passing attack should pass all over that Michigan State defense. So no, I think they run this table and get into the CFB, smoke whoever they is awaiting them in the Big Ten championship, and get themselves a 1 or 2 seed in the CFP. Is my thoughts here.
Yeah, I was watching last night. They had three of the experts on. They did a college football preview, and Mr. Galloway was there, and there was two others, and one's got Ohio State versus Alabama. Galloway had to go Ohio State versus Clemson, and then I'm sorry, let me backtrack. Ohio State Bama was one. Ohio State Clemson, since the guy who took his Bama, and then the other guy was Bama versus whoever. And the intriguing team to me was Clemson. I mean, you get them like a plus 1,400. They just took such a step back last year. They could come out guns blazing. I'm going to have Ron on Friday morning talking ECC, and I don't know what to expect there. I'm not trying to, change it up here.
No.
If you get that type of defense and the quarterback finally makes that step forward, I mean, we're talking elite what Dabo does down at Clemson.
Yeah, and it's an ACC that's still still surprising that they didn't run through it last year despite the struggles that they had. So I think at the very least they should run through their regular season schedule, and I think they should be right there, especially when you consider, I mean, if you're penciling Alabama to be there, Ohio State to be there, and then you're looking at who else is going to be there, whether it's another SEC team, whoever's the top team in the Big 12, I have to imagine there's going to be, like we saw last year, some of the top teams in the Big 12 beating up on each other. And then so then it really becomes, is there going to be a second SEC team? Is there going to be someone, I saw someone talking about USC could, make a run for it. And so as long as Clemson runs through the regular season, they might have the toughest strength of schedule. But it's always hard to deny them as an undefeated team. They're non-conference schedule isn't hard. South Carolina, isn't a strong force that they're going to be too scared of. Same thing with let's see, what do they got? That's really all it is for the non-conference. They got some easy non-conference games, and then obviously Florida State's still not Florida State of old. So they should run through it. They really should. So it would be a really big disappointment if they didn't go undefeated, I think, again this season.
Let me see if they had one more for you.
Not to jump all over, I don't know if you see it. The one, and I don't have strong thoughts about it, just the team out of the Big Ten that I'm interested to see. It could be fantastic season, could dream season, could be a miserable disappointment. I think that's the biggest variable team is Maryland, over under about 5.5. I think they get Tua's younger brother back at quarterback, Talia Tagovailoa. And a lot of people expected them to make some waves last year. They show up to I don't remember if it was their first Big Ten game, but they show up to kind of a turning point in their season and get the pants beat off them by Iowa on one of the, I don't know if it was a Thursday night or Friday night in prime time, and that was basically all she wrote for the Terps this season. But they got some winnable games to kick things off. A big game, really to get a true test of what they are in September at Michigan. I'm not saying they win that game, but you might get a good sense of who they are, at least if they give Michigan a run for their money. They've got a tough schedule, but they could be a kind of an X factor team, dark horse team, but also could absolutely fall on their face and be a gigantic disappointment there.
I got a flat 6 for you. Under minus 120, over plus 100.
Yeah, it's interesting. They've got some, Buffalo and Charlotte to start their season. They should be able to get off on that nice little roll against some non-conference opponents there. I'm honestly not sure what SMU is this season. Haven't done, much research into that conference. That's who their other non-conference opponent is there. They got Ohio State on their schedule, but a lot of games in the Big Ten outside of that are winnable. Tough environments for sure. They go to Wisconsin and Penn State, and maybe that would keep them from, bad losses in big environments would keep them from getting there. But I could really see them being at least a 6-6 team there. I would be more interested if it was a better odds at over 5.5. But not taking it. But I just wanted to mention that's at least one team that could be a giant variable out of the Big Ten this year.
All right. Well, again, it was nice to be able to bounce around today. The next 6 weeks, we will be diving into conferences, team totals, futures, Heisman's, and then obviously in the NFL, we're going to do the same, talking MVPs and all that good stuff there. Dark day today. Again, on the 3M, just guys watching and listening, thank you. I keep an eye on that Davis Riley. Like I said, you can get him around plus 1,800. Maverick McNeely was the other one that I was looking at. That's my one and done this week. But, you can look at top 10s, top 20s as well. Tomorrow, later this afternoon at 1 o'clock, just got confirmation. Yes, Andrew McGinnis will be in the building. We'll be talking some CFL. Tomorrow morning, Scotty will be in the building. We'll be doing the breakfast bankroll there, bringing him back. We'll be talking actually 6 games in the MLB. And then on Friday morning at 11:30 Eastern will be Ron from A Sports. We'll be breaking down the ACC this time. And then at 2:30 will be Dan Alexander. We're getting back to some Premier Lacrosse. Riley will have a couple of days off. He'll be back with us hopefully Saturday and Sunday mornings, where we can do some bankroll and get everyone set up for baseball. So with all that said, if you are wagering or investing today, please do it responsibly. If you do have a problem, ask for help. Why? Myself and Riley care. We'd like to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy it. Get outside. Go to the beach. Have a barbecue. Do something fun. If the fair's in your town, go to it. Do something. There's nothing on TV. I think the WNBA might be tipping off in a half hour. Who knows? But
they got some daytime action? Do they? Daytime action?
I thought I saw noon. Now, that's probably noon Vegas time, so probably 3 o'clock.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I probably won't be watching it either way, but anyways.
All right, everyone, enjoy your day, and I will be back in 1 hour and a half with Andrew McGinnis. Take care.